Welcome to Kinky Knots Cafe, Proactive is the Way, where we provide you tools and resources to enhance your mind, body, and spirit. Get ready, folks. Let us nurture you from the inside out. Welcome, my friends, to the auxiliary period. During the aux period, we are focusing on preparing for our season 3, Ascension, the Glow Up, which is scheduled to launch January 2025. Until then, we will be discussing a piece of literature that I selected for the next 3 months. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. This month, we are diving into Laws 1 through 19, and in November, Laws 20 through 35, and in December, Laws 36 through 48. By now, you should have successfully reached the 10th law. In these chapters, we have learned a great deal about how courtiers, scientists, artists, actors, and even characters within fables have beguiled, concealed, and circumvented the truth to garner a favorable position and amass power. I thought that I would get started with my overall thoughts about this book thus far, but I am at a loss for words. I was not expecting a piece of literature that would serve as the blueprint for amassing power in such a sadistic, provocative manner and not providing a new paradigm, a revised blueprint for how we need to reposition this idea of power so that it is more beneficial for the greater good. Depending on how one pursues power, it can lead to an ethical dilemma, corruption, isolation, rebellion, and the destabilization of countries and economies. What's the point of studying our history if we are not analyzing it in a manner in which we can learn from and improve? Or leverage history to serve as a warning with regards to if we pursue a certain strategy and technique to acquire power, what we should take heed of. As we know, history teaches us that oftentimes the outcome of seeking power is one-sided, cancerous, divisive, and depending on how we attain it, it does not serve in a manner that will help our world and our communities to heal and unify. When I picked up this book, I thought I would be providing excerpts that would contribute and be beneficial for our Motivational Mondays. And I honestly struggled to find anything worthy that felt positive and uplifting for the greater good. I was expecting for a guide similar to the Laws of Human Nature, which was also written by Robert Greene. But then when I looked at the copyright and saw that power was actually written 11 years before the Laws of Human Nature, while I don't know Robert's background, I believe that time helped him to produce a piece of literature that was less demoralizing and sinister and more helpful and positively serving. I hope that as we continue on, I will find resolve in Robert's findings, where he will share the positive side of power, such as how it can be leveraged to empower, influence, and achieve success. Until then, this week I scoured the readings and was able to land on one law that I found beneficial to the greater good and some points that he made. Law 5. So much depends on your reputation. Guard it with your life. So let me start off with providing you an overview of the structure of each law. In the book, each law is broken into parts. Robert starts each law off with a judgment, a high-level overview on the importance of this law and how to leverage it to your benefit. Then he provides a short story in history that validates the law via his interpretation and the application thereof. Next, he gives you the keys to power, essentially taking what we have learned from history and developing our own application model to effectively leverage this law to our benefit. Finally, he closes with exceptions to the law. You know, what made this book so intriguing is how he sprinkled in fables, those short historical stories and quotes to encapsulate and hone in on the application of each respective law. You will not find this literature boring. All right, so now that you have an understanding of the structure, let's dive in. Law 5. So much depends on your reputation. Guard it with your life. So Robert starts out with judgment. He shares, reputation is the cornerstone of power. Through reputation alone, you can intimidate and win. But once it slips, you are vulnerable and will be attacked on all sides. Make your reputation unassailable. Always be alert to potential attacks and thwart them before they happen. Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them. This man is ruthless. My mouth dropped open when I read that, but we will talk about that later. So some parts of this chapter that resonated with me were his thoughts on reputation and how it has a power like magic. Robert shared that with one stroke of its wand, your reputation can double your strength. It can also send people scurrying away from you. And whether the exact same deeds appear brilliant or dreadful can depend entirely on the reputation of the doer. This is so spot on. When I look at the political landscape and the background of the candidates and their positions, I have found that your reputation precedes you and will be the determining factor as to whether or not you will move the masses and garner enough votes to win. And while I have an understanding of both sides and the rhetoric in which the candidates shared during their campaign, for me, it will ultimately come down to who I believe has the best reputation and shown me that they will serve the greater good judiciously, hold true to their beliefs on how to positively serve our country, doing so with honor, and how they will be perceived and respected globally. Robert goes on to share that a solid reputation increases your presence and exaggerates your strengths without you having to spend much energy. It can also create an aura around you that will instill respect. And depending on the type of reputation that you desire, even fear. Your reputation inevitably precedes you. And if it inspires respect, a lot of your work is done for you before you arrive on the scene or utter a single word. So, who watches Hell's Kitchen with Gordon Ramsay? This chef has a reputation that preceded him. He is so respected that even when he becomes unhinged in his shows, being condescending, emotionally and verbally abusive, instilling fear into his contestants, this man and his career have been unmoved and permitted to flourish. I mean, just this year, his season was renewed for a 23rd and 24th season. This is so astonishing. So, what if you stained your reputation and you are prevented from establishing a new one? Robert shared that in such cases, it is wise to associate with someone whose image counteracts your own, using their good name to whitewash and elevate yours. It is hard, for example, to erase a reputation for dishonesty by yourself, but a paragon of honesty can help. Well, that's one way to reel in the big fish. Personally, I truly believe in forgiveness, as we are human, and in that we are designed to falter. Honestly, he who is without sin, please cast the first stone. Not one of us is able to do so. And as a result, I believe in bestowing grace upon those who are most deserving. If you are someone that fell on hard times, your history does not need to become your destiny. If you are willing to put in the work to rebuild and change in a manner that is positive and empowers others to redesign their life and change their destiny, you will find advocates willing to support you in your journey of healing and growth. Reputation, you see, it is a treasure to be carefully collected and hoarded, especially when you are first establishing it. You must protect it strictly, anticipating all attacks on it. Once it is solid, do not let yourself get angry or defensive at the slanderous comments of your enemies. That will reveal your insecurities, not confidence in your reputation. Take the high road instead, and never appear desperate in your self-defense. So I want to come back to the last sentence in judgment. Remember when I shared the following that Robert stated? He said, "Meanwhile, learn to destroy your enemies by opening holes in their own reputations. Then stand aside and let public opinion hang them." Robert actually provides you a step-by-step guide on how to do this most effectively. Personally, I have found that it is much easier to let one fall on their own sword. But this requires you to possess awareness, diligence, patience, and to be level-headed. Because I'm going to tell you something right now. Folks, they know how to do bad all by themselves, all on their own. They don't need no help with that. You don't have to say one word or do one thing. A wolf can only appear as a sheep for so long. Let time be the judge of their character and serve as your advocate. But you must be steadfast and unmovable. And as long as you maintain steady in your position and maintain truth in who you are, the wolf will grow weary and start to reveal their truth. Robert ends this chapter as follows. Reputation, it is critical. There are no exceptions to this law. Perhaps not caring what others think of you, you gain a reputation for insolence and arrogance. But that can be a valuable image in itself if that is the type of reputation which you seek. Since we must live in society and must depend on the opinions of others, there is nothing to be gained by neglecting your reputation. By not caring how you are perceived, you let others decide this for you. Be the master of your fate and also of your reputation. That's a wrap, folks. I hope you are enjoying the 48 Laws of Power. If you have a favorite law that resonated with you, please share your thoughts in the comments section on Instagram, Facebook, or the Podbean platform. And if you are just joining us, please make sure to pick up a copy of this book on Kinky Knots Cafe's book list. More details will be within the description. Join us in 2 weeks when we wrap up the remaining chapters for this month up to chapter 19. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.